So this is the second test of the VAS SPECTER with the BIGAOLE Autopilot installed. I was having trouble the other day with glitches, which I tracked down to a loose cable connection between the autopilot and the antenna. So I've crimped the connections in the plug, and they're away flying around the field. Not seeing any glitches at all. It seems to be flying relatively easily. I've tested out the stabilizer mode. It seems to be working alright, and the return to home mode seems to be working alright. So now I'm just flying off down our valley. I've put the headset on, so I'm flying off the headset now, and just feeling the new plane out, and pretty happy with the way the stabilizer seems to be working. So I'm thinking about heading up to the local mountain, Mount Tennant. Just turning towards it now, it should come into shot. It's about, the peak of the mountain's about 3.5 kilometres from where I am, and it's at about 800 metres to get over the top of it, so it's about the limit of my video range, but yeah, I've got enough confidence in how it's flying to give it a shot and see how the new plane responds to it. So I've gained a fair bit of height here, up to 600 metres. I'll need to get up to about 800 before I get there, but everything seems to be okay. Looks to be a bit of wind blowing me around backwards and forwards, but the video is pretty good. It's about past 1.5 kilometres and haven't seen any break-up yet. The speed seems alright. The voltage is down a bit lower than I thought it would be, so I'm carrying a 5,000 milliamp hour pack. I'm hoping I'll have enough to get back. So it's starting to get close now, up over the 800 metres, so I've got enough height to get over the top of it. Starting to get a little bit of fuzz on the video, and the wind seems to be pushing me around a bit up here. The radio signal seems to be relatively strong. The RSSI indicator isn't hooked up correctly. I'm not getting any help from there, so I have the fail-safe set up to turn back to home if it flies out of range. So, but everything seems to be okay at the moment. So I'm up at over 1,000 metres altitude. Pretty happy with the video from the pepper box antenna seems to be doing its job, even though it's not supposed to be real flash at altitude. Haven't had to adjust it yet. So coming up on 3 kilometres from home now. Just starting to get some video break-up now, and I'm adjusting the antenna a little bit to see if I can clear it up, and it seems to be working to some extent. So I'm not sure what's going on here, whether the return to home is kicking in. It looks like it's turned away, but I turn it back doesn't seem to object. I'm flying with my easy UHF on low power mode. I'm reluctant to kick it up to full power till I see what's going on. Now the plane's starting to do a little bit of rocking and rolling, and I notice the speed's gone down a lot too, so I'm thinking that must be the return to home mode has kicked in and knocked the speed down, and then all of a sudden I'm in this horrible bloody spin. I've switched the autopilot in the stabiliser mode. It doesn't make any difference. Return to home mode doesn't make any difference, so I put it in manual and try and stop it, and eventually do, but that was pretty exciting. Anyway, I see I'm down at 10.5 volts on the voltmeter, and decide discretion is the better part of valor, and I'll head home. So I switch it into return to home mode, and it seems to respond okay this time. I'll give it, I'll make sure it's got plenty of throttle. So here we are, 2/3 of the way back. Home is straight ahead at the end of that green paddock. You can see there's a hill at the end of it where our strip is. Everything seems to be going fine. Just dropping down that altitude that I've picked up down to, I'm not game to try and land this plane on the headset, so I need to get it down to around about 100 metres so that I can see it when it comes over the top of me. I can take the goggles off. So that little dam you can see in the middle of the field is the adjacent to the flight box. So just coming over the top of myself now, and I'm taking the headset off to spot the plane, and I'll be bringing it in by eye. So just on the final approach now. This is about the third attempt at landing it. I'm still having trouble. It likes to land fairly quickly. It doesn't seem to glide very well. So here we are, down on the ground safely, and I'm pretty happy about that. So fixing the plug seems to have solved the problem with the glitches, which has made the plane fly a lot better, so I'm a lot more confident in that. I think the plug was my own fault. I was having trouble getting the antenna to work, and was using a multimeter to test it, and the pinholes were so small I actually slipped some pins down them to get a reading on the multimeter, and I've obviously opened them up a little bit, so probably my bad rather than the manufacturer. But yeah, everything seems to be going good, so pretty happy with the autopilot and with the plane at this point.